Hey, awesome. What's up, guys? We got my friends in the background. You hear them giggling, but Michelle Senour here. I am so excited to be doing this podcast and YouTube today because it is the celebration of my 4-year salon anniversary, which seems weird to think back 4 years ago. I've been doing some reflecting and just kind of thinking back to that time, and wow, things have dramatically changed in the last 4 years. It also took me back to starting my business in 2018 and what the buildup looked like to get even to the salon. So it's been a really good time to just reminisce and think about the good, think about the bad, and then just how much growth has come from there. So really excited to be doing this with you guys today, whether you're listening on YouTube or whether you're listening on the podcast. I have my girl Katie. She's gonna be interviewing me and asking me questions, and I'm ready. So let's get to it.
Yay!
All right.
Okay, so let's go back. What inspired you to open a salon 4 years ago?
When I think back to what inspired me to open up the salon was my journey led me to a place where I was working at a commission salon. I was in my own suite. And then when I was in my suite, I really put the pedal to the metal and focus on growth. And I was in a space where I was by myself. And I knew that one of the things that I was missing from what I loved from my previous salon was that I loved being around people. I loved community. I loved growth. I loved the chatter at the color bar. I loved the buzzing of the blow dryers. And so that was something that I really missed. So selfishly, I thought about, what do I need to feel fulfilled as a stylist? And from there, I really got excited and inspired to teach other stylists how to learn and grow. And so then I was kind of like, okay, what's the next step for me? Because I never imagined being a salon owner when I went to cosmetology school. That was not on my radar. That was not on my goal list. I knew absolutely nothing about business. But I really built a lot of confidence being a suite owner and kind of pushing myself just like into the depths of just learning. And then I hired my first teammate, and that was in the winter of 2019. And yeah, I was like, okay, it's time to lead, it's time to grow. And when I really started sitting down and thinking about my goals, I was like, I really want to open this salon. I really want to help other stylists grow, and I want to help them be in an environment that they love because I knew that it was possible and it wasn't something that I was finding in other spaces.
That kind of leads us to our next question is, how did you actually start the business? Like, how did you raise funding?
Yeah.
How did you start marketing yourself? Like the very beginnings, how did you come up with a plan and get going?
Absolutely. So obviously you need money to open a salon, and there's a lot of ways that you can go about it. I was in my suite from 2018 to 2020. And in that 2-year time span, I worked my butt off to save as much as I possibly could. I mean, actually, I should give myself a little bit more credit than that because I actually started saving probably since I was like 16 years old. And I was really, really frugal with my finances. And I didn't go out to dinner. I didn't go bowling. I didn't go to the movies. I was saving every single penny that I had in order to eventually do something. I knew I didn't really know what it was, but I just wanted to set myself up for financial success. So I saved and saved and saved and was blessed and lucky enough to not have to take out a loan, but I don't think there's anything wrong with taking out a business loan. I think that if you know you're going to be able to make that money back, it's actually a really great investment. So I know a lot of people will do that as well, but as far as the financial part of it, that was definitely really scary. I remember being in the meetings with the contractors, and these numbers they were throwing at me were things I had never dreamed of. I had no idea how much a countertop cost. I had no idea anything about a build out. I had never done one before. So it was really intimidating. But at the end of the day, I kept telling myself, like, you are strong enough and smart enough to make this money back. So just put the trust in yourself, make the space what you want it to be. And it's been really successful since then. So that part of it was scary, but worth it.
And then just marketing yourself too. Had you hit the ground running with that yet? Or was that something you were still building?
So I wasn't necessarily marketing the salon prior to the build out because I didn't know I was going to be opening it, but I marketed myself like crazy. I got people to really align with my brand, and I was having this spillover of clientele. I had so many clients that were coming in, and it was a beautiful thing. And so I knew I would have some clients to be able to give to the next girls and the next girls and the next girls. But I started marketing for the salon the day that we started the build out, if not before. I mean, when I was searching for spaces, I was putting it on social media. When I was having meetings with contractors, I was putting it on social media. When I was doing Home Depot runs, I was putting it on social media. I was showing people the effort that I was putting into this space so that stylists, even though they couldn't see a space, it was gravel grounds and a hot mess, they knew how much effort I was putting into it. And I think that that builds trust in people. So I started building my presence as a salon through just showing the behind the scenes. I didn't have, that's like with any project I'm starting with my salon ownership course, right? It's the first one that I'm doing. I don't have concrete visuals, but I can take them along the journey, and I think people really respect and they want to be along for the journey. So if you are looking to build out a salon, show everybody the process of it. It keeps them excited, it gets them excited, and they feel like they're a part of it with you.
Did you have any non-negotiables for salon ownership right off the bat? Or I guess I'm thinking about if people are starting to do this on their own, do you have any like pillars of advice for them if they're just starting?
Yeah, pillars of advice, looking back from 4 years now, would be a lot different than my advice I would give to you then. One of the things that I do always tell people is when I was doing my build out, it was a lot. It was exhausting. I was being a stylist full time, trying to build a team, doing a build out, and I was just physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually exhausted. And so I would tell people to manage their schedule a lot better, which I think people are just better at now anyway, maybe thanks to my teachings, I'm not really sure. But definitely manage your schedule. Like take a tiny step back from maybe being behind the chair or something else in your life so that you can fully embrace and enjoy that process. So that is one tidbit of advice. The other tidbit of advice that I have is go into it knowing that things are going to change constantly, because they will. You think you have this plan and that's what you're gonna do and this is what it's gonna look like, but there is going to be ups and downs and ebbs and flows throughout the whole process, and that's just business is what I've learned, is that 1 year is gonna be here and the next year is gonna show you a trial, but it's gonna teach you and prepare you for the next conversation you're gonna need to have, or the next business move that you're gonna have. So just really be prepared and know that it's okay if things change. It's a time for you to get back and focus on what's important to you and figure out a way to rebuild and restructure. So things are gonna change. It's gonna be wild. It's an intense journey every single day.
Maybe for new followers or new listeners, you can kind of go back and think of what made Ellen Co. unique. Like, what were you setting out to do that separated Ellen Co. from other salons previously?
I think what made Ellen Co. unique was the heart behind it, I think, is one thing that made it really unique. There is a lot of love for the clients. There's a lot of love for the staff. There's a lot of love for your teammates, for how we take care of the space. I think visually, I wanted to bring something that was really modern, that was really cool, that people felt proud to bring their clients and their friends and their family to. I wanted people to feel freedom. I wanted them to feel like they could create. As stylists, we're very creative human beings, and if we feel stuck, it's just not a very good place for us to be in. We're going to search for creativity somewhere else. So I wanted people to feel really free. I wanted the experience for the client to be amazing and luxury, and them to feel taken care of when they came in. I felt like in Wisconsin, at least, when I opened my salon, it was stale. It was very stale out there. You couldn't find places like that. Thank God there's more of them coming out. But at the time, there really wasn't. So I wanted my team to feel supported. I wanted my clients to feel supported. And I wanted them to feel good in the space that they were in. So that's where we created the design of the space. We created how the culture was. We created I mean, the culture as far as, you know, the rules and regulations and, but even that, you know, that changes as the years go on and as you evolve. And so, yeah, I'm really proud of it.
Yeah, and you set out to make a commission salon, but it was different. And can you explain kind of how it was different at the time too? I mean,
yes,
4 years ago.
Yeah, so there's commission salons, there's booth rental salons, there's salon suites, there's hourly salons, there's lots of different options. So I had worked in more of a corporate environment when it came to commission salons, very, very large salon. And so with traditional commission salons, there are a lot of guidelines, a lot of rules, a lot of like, this is how many days you can have off, you know, profit, you know, percentages you need to hit. There's lots of rules, which I think can be hard for stylists because we're kind of a little off the cuff, we're a little crazy. So with that being said, I think sometimes I can feel a little bit like, can make you feel a little bit stuck. So I wanted them to feel like they could grow and create and have freedom, but then at the same time have the support and have the structure and have the tools that they need, because there's rules in place for reasons. So they needed to be there, but at the same time, and I always hear people say this when they have kids too, it's like, okay, is it worth the battle? Is it worth the battle? So I really wanted to think, perfect case scenario for me as a commission stylist, what would I want that to be like? And that's how I decided what my structure was. And I pulled that from every experience prior, whether it was great, bad, anything in between. I pulled it from different experiences, which I think is why it's so valuable to have gone through that. I don't think I would be who I am today or have the experience or the knowledge had I not gone through my previous salon experiences.
Totally. We touched on this a little bit about culture, but how did you establish that again?
Sorry, guys, I'm talking to my watch. You like that information? No. Okay, sorry, say it again.
Yep, we touched on it a little bit about culture, but how did you really establish that? Was it with hiring? Was it with, you know, you had a guidebook?
I think one of the big things is people need to respect you, so you have to lead by example. So I think that's really important. You doing anything that you would expect of your team is really important. And for me, it was less of, yes, they needed to be really good at hair. I wanted to be known as a salon that people brought in a photo from Pinterest and they could get that look. Like that I didn't know to be anywhere else, and I wanted them to be able to have that. But aside from that, it really did have to fit with the personality and the traits that I work well with, but also too that I would expect from my stylists in their experience with their clients. So it is a lot of a personality thing. It's a lot of a work ethic thing. It's a lot of a drive thing. And I've learned a lot about who to hire and why to hire and how to hire, and made mistakes along the way. And again, that was just part of the growth journey. You don't know until you know, really. But I think with establishing the culture, I always knew that I needed to be around positive people. I needed to be around hardworking people. I need to be around people that are okay with change, because I am a big change gal. It's going to constantly change. And knowing that not everybody's going to align with you at every moment in your business, and like that's okay. That's very much okay. You have to do what is best for the team as a whole. And I think you have to really take the time. And it's hard when you're busy, because you have to take the time and be very deliberate and very diligent about your interview process so that you have the right people. Because it's not only protecting you, but it's protecting your whole entire team. They want people that they want to be around as well. So I learned a lot about really getting more deep into people and like who they are to their core versus like maybe what they just portray on the outside. So I love being around really good humans, and we just had a holiday party at my house a few weeks ago, and like one of my thoughts afterwards, and all the girls were there, I was like, man, these people are good humans. Like they're kind, genuine humans. And I will teach you how to do good hair all day long. But if you're not a good, kind, genuine soul, like you no longer deserve a place in my life. Thank you, Jesus.
Totally. How did you establish your pricing model early on?
My pricing model early on, I definitely did pull from, again, my previous experiences. Like, okay, I worked at a salon and they had a scale in which like you started at this price and then you can move up to level 2 and level 3 and level 4. I felt like it definitely gives people somewhere to work towards, which I think is really fun. I knew that a lot of people were undercharging for the type of hair that we were doing at the time. I think people have gotten a lot better at that in 2024. But at the time, I knew it costs a lot more to do the hair that we do now, and it takes a lot more time to do the hair that we do now. So I started at a price point in which I didn't think would like scare people away. Like, I don't think I could have started the salon and been like, your color is going to be $500 today. But I also didn't want people working for nothing. Like, why should a stylist have to do a service that takes them 3 hours for $50? Like, that, you might as well go work at McDonald's, you know, like, no disrespect, but you might as well go do that, because it's like just so low profit. And then as a salon as well, one of the things that was extremely eye-opening to me was the percentage profit as a salon owner. I knew that my previous salon wasn't pocketing every, you know, the
I understand.
oh my gosh, the 60%. My watch really likes this conversation. I knew that they weren't profiting all of that, but I definitely thought they were profiting more than they did. You have to be really, really tight with your numbers. And I would always laugh. They'd make us put like our color in a bowl and like measure how much we wasted. But for real though, like that, like why are we just throwing money out the door like that? I mean, even when it comes to like the amenities that we have, and especially that's changed with being a rental salon as well, because I'm, you know, the profits, you know, get even tighter then. And so you really have to pay attention to your numbers, because there can be a lot of gaps in which like money can be wasted. So I think that's really important. So track your numbers, ladies and gents.
Kind of sticking with that, what kind of KPIs do you use to measure success? Is it just financial? Are there other ones that you were looking at for the health of your business? Or
Yeah, when I briefly read through these questions, but I didn't read through them too much, because I like to just kind of see what comes out of my mouth. But when I really thought about like the KPIs, yes, it's important to manage your percentage profit, right? That's super important. It's important to look at your QuickBooks and make sure that's all looking good. But I mean, the health of your business is a lot of different things. It's financials, it's the happiness of your team, it's the happiness of yourself. And I think I would measure that more than the money any day, because if you're not feeling passionate and excited about what you're doing, I know a lot of salon owners that want to quit a lot of times. It's hard, but I think that if you're, like when I think about my salon now, I think about how happy I am to come into work every day and how much I love serving my clients in that space. And that's worth it to me. Like, yeah, we need to make money. But at the same time, I think look at the health of it overall. The respect that your team has for each other is considered health to me. And I think the progress that you're making every single year, you know, looking at the growth year by year, whether that is, it might not always mean a financial growth. It might mean a little bit of a decline in that, but a positive shift somewhere else. So I think there's a lot of different ways. And financially, like we talked about before, though, just paying really close attention to each section of your finances and making sure that you are growing in your clients that are coming in the door. Even as a rental salon, you know, it's important to me that these girls' books are full. So there's so many different avenues, but I think more than anything is your happiness.
Totally. Can you kind of speak to how your time management had to change over time as well? Like how you had to switch up your schedule?
Yeah, I was working 6-7 days a week, Saturdays, Sundays, Mondays. If there's a day that doesn't exist, I was working it. And but then I was like, there was no time for me to be creative. There was no time for me to do the back end stuff and feel good about it. So now I've switched my schedule to I'm doing hair 3 days behind the chair. I'm there Tuesdays and Thursdays for like 7 hours. And then I'm there on Fridays for 8 hours. So 3 days behind the chair, 2 full days in the office. Obviously little things here and there, but I mean, I really wanted to, at this point, I'm 31, started working at 14, I've worked weekends my whole entire life. It was really important at this time that I was able to step away from the salon on the weekends to spend time with family, to spend time with friends, to nourish myself. Me taking a Sunday off was like panic stricken a few years ago, but now like I need that preparation to be really successful on Monday. So I would say making sure that you have enough office hours. Some people say you shouldn't be doing hair at all, but I'll never give that up. I love it so much. So that's the easy part for me. I would do that 7 days a week. But definitely managing my schedule and time blocking as well. Like on your days where you're working from home, you have to be really disciplined. You can't just like, oh yeah, I'll wake up at 11 and like maybe I'll work on something. It's like, no. Like that, you have to like, you're working from this time to this time. You're getting everything you need to get done. But the beauty of that is like, okay, then I'm off on the weekend. I'm not like half doing it on Monday and then I have to finish and complete it on a Saturday. I'm giving my all on that Monday and on that Wednesday to get everything I need to get done, whether that's salon ownership, my education, anything that needs office time. Painting the salon, I'm gonna do that tomorrow. Anything that needs to happen. So I think it's super, super crucial. I wish I would have done that earlier. But again, lessons learned.
Okay, I was gonna ask you some of your favorite memories, but I think that's a little difficult because there's so many. So why don't we just go through some of the evolution of Ellen Co. and I'm gonna start dropping in some big milestones and you can kind of reflect on that time. So
yeah, I love that.
Let's start with hiring your first employee.
Okay, so hiring my first employee, that was a really, Britt's behind me right now. We're actually celebrating 5 years together. Next week, Monday, we have a little surprise day I have planned for her and I'm really excited because her dedication over the last 5 years has been incredible and seeing her grow has been probably one of the greatest gifts I've ever had in life. I'm gonna cry, so let's move on. So, but hiring my first employee, I did not. Honestly, someone was asking me this the other day. They messaged me. I used to work with her at my suite. And she has now stopped doing hair and she opened up a floral business. And she was asking me, like, how do you find someone? What is she called? Is she a content creator? Like, what is the deal? And I said, well, Britt kind of like just fell into the lap a little bit. So at the time, I, again, was tired, exhausted. Did I sign the lease? I didn't sign the lease on the new space yet. No, so I had the vision that I was going to open a salon. That was right. I had the vision I was going to open a salon, but so that was in December and I didn't actually sign my lease until the following July. So I knew I needed help because I was working so many days behind the chair. I'm kind of creating this thing behind the scenes. So I just knew I needed help. I didn't really know in what. It was just kind of like somebody take something off my plate. So Britt was young and taking a little break from school and she needed a job and I needed help. So I said, hey, and I mean, one of the things though that I always look for is work ethic because I'll tell you what, Britt did not know anything about the hair industry, but this girl has work ethic. And I was like, she is creative and I know that's inside of her. So let's just kind of like see what we can pull out. So yeah, she started just counting my inventory for me, cleaning my suite, helping me send out cards, helping me with giveaways, running to the store to grab a curling iron for the giveaway basket or a ribbon or little things that I was just like, okay, what's something that I want to do, but I don't physically need to do it, like that somebody else could do. And that was one of the biggest learning lessons for me too, was delegating, because I'm a horrible delegator. Not anymore. I think I'm a pretty good delegator now. But I used to be really bad because it's very much like do it myself, but you can't do it all yourself. And once I started to release some of the little things like that, it honestly did take a lot off my plate, even though it might seem small to somebody else. Like no job is too small. Like there's a place and a position for everybody, because these things at the time were huge to me. The things I remember being afraid of then, I would never be afraid of now, but it's like, that was huge for me. I remember moving into my suite. I was afraid that the music was going to shut off. Like that was a fear. Like, how do I turn the music on and make sure just little stuff. And I'm like, that's a joke, like whatever. But so I hired Britt and she was working probably like 10 hours a week. Like it was pretty minimal because I just needed to like find stuff for her to do. And it'd be like, okay, Britt, so this week I'm going to have you do this. But I learned so much about the importance of having somebody there to support you along the way. Like, that was amazing. And because what I knew stylists, I knew assistants, I knew like that kind of, but I didn't know like a business like worker. Like, I had never been in a position like that. So I really focused though on learning about leadership. So I studied and like listened to audios and podcasts and read, and I did all of that to try to learn about leadership and learn more about business. And then that's where I learned that it's important to allow your team members to move in ways that you feel like they're doing really good and not force them into a position that they don't feel strong in either. So we just focused on, okay, we learned this skill, like, do we like that? How do we feel about it? Oh, wow, you're really good at, photography. You're really good at or at least you're willing to put in the effort to learn it, right? So it was so nice to have somebody by my side. Like, I felt like she was a teammate, and I was like, oh, this feels good. And I knew, I was like, I'm addicted to having teammates. Like, I want more teammates from that. So hiring my first employee was kind of a flop, but it ended up being the best thing that happened to me ever. But it was just kind of a shot in the dark. But from there, I learned so much. And from there, I hired an assistant, and then I started hiring stylists, which was my comfort zone. I was like, this we know. But yeah, then from there, hiring Katie as our salon manager, I knew more at that point, like, what do I need? Because I knew what I was in the salon doing hair. People were constantly coming up to me. I was like, this feels stressful. So I would figure out where my need was and then find a team member to fill it. So the need had to be there in order for me to realize I needed it. And what her role then evolved to be. But I think that's just kind of my common theme. It's like evolving. Nobody really ever stays where they started. So I think that, hiring was the greatest blessing that I ever did. I'm so grateful I did not make this the Michelle Senour show.
I totally agree with that. I think you find what you said, like, you recognize that special something in somebody, and then I think what you're really good at too is like giving people the opportunities for that, and then it just kind of all comes full circle. It's just been really great to watch.
I think people want to. Well, not everybody. I think high achieving people want to be around people that are constantly evolving and that are adding new things. And like, I could never imagine just like being at the same place as I was yesterday. And so I really want to empower my teammates to move to the next level, to grow, to add skill sets, to add financially. Like, all of that's really important to me. So I prioritize that in my team.
Totally. Okay, let's go back to another milestone, the build out. I've heard a lot of funny stories about this, but can you kind of bring us back to that, like, initial process working with contractors?
Yeah. So again, I am not somebody that knows how to lay floor, tile. I can paint and like hang a curtain, and I can design all day long, but wasn't going to be doing a lot of the manual labor type of things because I don't know how to do it. And I wanted my space to be really nice. And so I started interviewing contractors. And again, I don't know what I'm looking for. I'm like, yeah, sounds good. The financial part of it is scary. So when you got one contractor telling you it's going to be $80,000 for your floor, and then the other one 20, you're like, the 20,000 sounds kind of nice, but then you're worried, like, is it going to be good? So ultimately at the end of the day, I ended up hiring a contractor to do all of the work for me, which you would think would be less stressful, but in my experience, it was probably more stressful. The key things when hiring a contractor, okay? They can be nice and they can give you a good pitch, but if they are not organized and cannot lead a team, they are going to be a terrible contractor. Also, if they can't listen or they are forgetful. So, they are working on so many projects at one time. So that's very difficult, but you need people that are going to take it off of your plate. I would have paid so many more dollars to have someone who I felt like took that off of my plate versus it was constant stress. It was like, oh, this is wrong. You need this is that. And I'm like, they're forgetting this. We talked about one conversation. I'm like, how? Like, it was complete chaos. But at the same time, it's like I learned from that. So if anytime I would hire a contract, I mean, when I was doing my house, that's right behind me. Like when I was working with contractors, ooh, you better believe I had some strict words for them, because it was like I knew what I had experienced in the past, and I wasn't going to allow that to be this experience. So still learned from it, was still really important. But the build out was stressful yet beautiful all at the same time, because when I think back to it, I'm like, oh God, like it hurts my soul. Like it was hard, but it was something hard that I got through, which when I think about the salon now, I don't think about the negativity that was surrounded within my build out. I think about the beauty and the laughter of the stylists and the laughter of the clients and the specialty drink they're getting served and the cute Instagram posts they post feeling confident, the bounce they have walking out of the doors. I don't think about how terrible my build out was. So as stressful as it was, I think it's always important in stressful situations to find the beauty. And the beauty that I had behind that was I grew a lot. I did have a team that supported me. I mean, I had people there with me, people that didn't even work for me that weren't even getting paid. I had people there helping me screw knobs together. During that time, I had actually injured my finger. The top of my pinky got chopped off and I couldn't hold a box. So cool, I'm moving into a new space in 2 weeks and I physically can't lift a box, let alone I can't wash my client's hair. So that's cool. So, you're in this situation, but like when you really look back, you're like, wow, like I grew so much from that. And it was another lesson to me in delegation. I believe that was God telling me like, hey, sister, you need to practice this delegation thing because you are trying to take on too much right now. I believe that we get knocked down so that we have to rely on other people, or sometimes we have to learn that like slowing down is okay. So that was super, super pivotal. But I mean, there were fun times. I had a designer working with me. When I never delete the highlight of the build out, even though sometimes it's cringy looking at yourself at that point in your life. But I like look back and I'm like, you know what, like, the Home Depot runs, the calling Brit and being like, hey, I need you to go run and get this tile. The time I had to scream at Minerva on the phone because they forgot, I feel bad about that, but they forgot a piece of my chair and I couldn't put my chairs together, I think back though, and yeah, there were fun times. I mean, it's a beautiful space and it's a space that I love. And since that, I've obviously changed things up and evolved the space. But I mean, what a fun process, like at the same time.
Totally. What was running your first big payroll like?
Oh my gosh, running my first big payroll was such a surreal moment. I remember when I was thinking like, okay, I'm going to hire these people and their finances are my responsibility. This is a big thing. Like, this is crazy. And when I ran my first big payroll, I think I almost shed a tear. I looked at the dollar amount, one kind of being like, I can't believe this is coming out of my account and like going into all these other people's accounts. But it felt so good that I had stylists that were producing fantastic incomes for themselves, and it was because of something that I created. Like, that was so freaking cool to me. I was like, I'm using a payroll system. I'm big and bad now. They're deducting my taxes. Like, I was like, this is awesome. So honestly, it was such a proud moment for me. I remember running a payroll that was a 2-week payroll that was larger than like a month of my entire sales, you know what I mean, together, or an entire year, which was crazy. And I was like, man, that's cool. Like, these people are coming in and they're doing really well. And so that was a huge blessing. I remember sending messages to my staff all the time and being like, because they would tell me what they made previously. And when I knew we surpassed that in, a matter of a couple of weeks, when they had been building another salon for 5-6 years, I was like, this is so cool. Like, when I've seen people double their income, I'm like, yes, like, and they're happy and passionate and loving it. So, I mean, some of the most beautiful moments probably ever.
Good memories.
Really good memories.
How about hosting your first education classes?
Yeah, so I had just started educating the year prior to opening. So I had taught my first classes, and I had classes scheduled for January of 2020. It was a color class I had scheduled. I also had a bridal class scheduled. So I had nowhere to teach it if my space wasn't open. So we went knocking on the doors of the good old village of Thiensville, and I got a temporary occupancy license, thank God. I may or may not have taught a class before that. We're not really sure. But I taught a class in my space when I had no countertops. I had no product on my shelves. It was not complete. And that is not my style. I do not like letting people into my home unless I have freshly wiped the countertops down. So that was a little intimidating for me. However, it was that or I cancel my class. Then have an accident. I chopped the tip of my pinky off. That was awesome. So I'm down to 4 fingers on my hand now, and I'm teaching a class with no countertops. And it was a hot mess. I had to, again, how do I delegate? How do I rely on team members to help me through this situation? Because I can't wash. I can barely hold the foil. I remember standing there in that room, and we had like an education center when we first opened, like a little education room. Anyway, that's storage now. But I was teaching in that room, and I remember we had like up on the TV screen, and like, I'm just sitting there. I'm like on medication at the time. I'm like, I got blood pouring out of my hand. Like, I remember like, I was nervous. Like, it was like such an interesting day, but I remember being really proud of myself still, again, at the end of it. And it's even sweeter having that experience because now I can go back and think of like Six Figure Stylist last year where I had 60 stylists in the space with a team of, how many do we have? Like 8 or something crazy, team of 8. And it's detailed and it's executed and it's just so good. And so again, those little experiences where you're a hot mess lead you into your future ones. And so yeah, thinking back to my first educations, those were crazy. It's also been really fun to be able to host other stylists in my space as well. Like, it's fun to kind of be on the back seat of everything and to allow other people to teach inside of my space. So I'm really grateful to have a space that can do that.
Yeah, last milestone here is more people oriented. So I guess looking back, we've had people leave, we've had people come, we've had times where, we waited to hire, and then now to everyone starting their own LLC. Can you kind of speak to some of the movement of the people?
Yeah, absolutely. So definitely some of the hardest times as a business owner, because going back to the very beginning, my heart is in every single thing that I do, which is the scary part of it, because you allow your heart to, attach to these people and these situations. And I wouldn't change that for the world, because I'm going to give everybody 1,000% of me, no matter if they could rip the ground from underneath me. I'm still going to do it. That's who I am. That's in my blood. But it's definitely the hardest part of it, because you build these relationships, you pour into people, and then, you have to, sometimes things are going to change. And so I started as a commission salon, and then COVID happened. I shut down 3 months later after opening up. That was a really great time for me to step up as a leader, because I kind of had to bring some light to these people and do meetings still and kind of keep them inspired. And that's when I created Six Figure Stylist. I really started educating during that time. And so that was really a great opportunity for me to learn to lead a little bit better. And then I hired a group of people when we got back, because I think during COVID, a lot of people realized whether they were happy or not in their previous situations. So, I had a really good, buzzing team. They're extension certified. We're kicking it, Instagram's popping, we're really successful. And then it takes a downturn, and then we end up, I'm trying to think of what people call it. But anyway, I think almost every salon goes through this, where they kind of have a clean out of sorts. And then even though I had a really small team, I knew that I needed to change the way that maybe I was hiring, or I needed to take a step away from. You would think your gut would be promote, get the next stylist, do the next thing. But I knew that I needed to realign with myself before I could go ahead and do that. And I'm grateful that I did that. So took a step back, down to 3 stylists at the time. I really focused on them. I was how can I be the best leader to them? Where maybe I could have been better? What were things I did really well? And I just kind of took some time to like reestablish what I wanted for the salon as a whole. So then after that, rehiring again and figuring out what the next best step is. And I felt really good about that. So that was really great. That was, Katie was on the team at the time. She was just a huge support. So again, just good-hearted people just there for you to help you through that and who just believe in you. And like, that feels really good. And so then, from there, I was like, okay, we're back. We're doing it. This is amazing. And then I decided I wanted to switch my business model. And that was something that was on my heart for a while. I had talked to Britt about it probably a long time before I actually did it, almost probably a year and a half. Because again, the people, you have to realize like this is going to impact other people. This isn't just Michelle's decision anymore. This is impacting a group of humans. But I knew that was the way that I led people. I led people to be independent and successful. So I'm like, okay, I'm teaching these people how to do, I'm contradicting basically like my business model versus what I'm teaching. So that had to feel aligned for me. And that's when I knew something was weird. It's like when my gut is like, ooh, something is just like not right. I have to like pull inside of me and find out what that is. And that was a huge decision for me because it was a lot of things on the back end. It included building out the space again, which again is another check getting poured out, another financial decision, and also too, but at the time I had people that really did trust me. They really did trust the way that I would lead them. And so I feel very grateful that they were supportive in that decision. And since then, I feel so aligned. Like I feel like the way that I empower people to learn for themselves and then versus like just being their mom. Like I'm their big sister now. I'm like, I'm with you. I'm here for you whenever you need it. Like, let's grow, let's be amazing. But at the same time, like this is your thing, like soar, fly. Like, so I feel like it really fits well with the way that I teach. And it's so different though. Like, I mean, I have two stylists that are employed. I have my previous assistant. So I allow them to be commissioned until they decide that, it's kind of the right time for them to rent. So I don't just like throw them out there. And then I have my assistant right now, who's also an employee as well. So I still do have some commission aspects of it. They work in my color bar, and then we have our separate one for the renters. But I mean, overall, it is a really nice balance because I still get to lead them. Salmon just gave me the sweetest little gift the other day. It wasn't a little gift, actually, it was a very large gift. And she gave me a really, really sweet gift, just thanking me for my mentorship. And so I'm like, man, that is the part that I really did love about being a commissioned salon owner was like that aspect, or like just being the person that they can come to for help because they see that I've done it, or me being able to go to them for help, or shoot, I'm out of one end. Any friends around here able to help me? I mean, that's the benefit of being in a community and being in a space is like you get the energy from the other people, you get the motivation from the other people, the positivity, the support, the help, which again was all the things that I was missing from being in my suite. I felt very isolated. I felt very alone. It just didn't fit my personality. And so now I really feel aligned with like how my space is being run. But had I not been a commissioned salon owner, I wouldn't have learned a lot of the things that I learned along the way. So again, it's just like life happens the way it should. So grateful for that season. And I think it's just made me a better salon owner going into 2024. And also too, it's allowed me to speak as an educator in a lot of different ways because I can relate versus like, it's hard to teach something you've never done. So I'm really grateful to have gone through those business models and really just got to experience them and then get to the point in which I feel 100% aligned.
I love these milestones and they're such rich memories.
Yeah, this is so fun. Thanks for coming up with these questions.
Okay, these next few questions are more about you, so let's just kind of switch gears a little bit. But how do you deal with self-doubt and doubt from others, just like in general?
Yeah. I've worked really hard to build up my confidence. Like you guys see me now talking on this YouTube and you're like, wow, that must be so nice to be so confident. That's great. But I wasn't always like this. I was actually a really shy kid. I did not have any confidence whatsoever. I grew up in a really chaotic household, alcoholism, lights being shut off, just crazy stuff, right? So growing up like that, I was the tallest girl in class. I was towering over every dude. I was way overweight. And so my confidence was really, really low actually. And so as the years progressed, I think one of the things that built a lot of confidence for me was like taking control of my health, actually. So that then fueled confidence physically, but also in my energy that I could give out to people. So honestly, taking care of my health was like a huge thing. And then like almost reconditioning my brain, whether that was through podcasts or books or anything that I'm listening to through therapy. I knew I wanted a different story for myself. I didn't want that story. And I had it in me, like I've always been me, but I just didn't have the confidence. And so whenever that self-doubt kicks in, the first person I need to rely on is myself. I can't rely on all external sources to make me feel good and complete. First, I have to be able to self-soothe myself, but also too, it is so important to have people around you that will build you up and you're able to have these conversations in and they remind you. I mean, just, my fiance is telling me like just crazy things. He's like, Michelle, he's like, you've built this, you've done this, so having these people that are supportive of you, speaking life into you, and who see the potential in you is super important. And I hope that I do that for other people, because what that does for me is so crucial. So have your tools in your toolbox. I mean, your prayer or your grateful journal. I mean, that's what I'm doing, going into 2024, just keeping, the energy and the self-doubt high and just thinking back to everything. I mean, even doing this right now, thinking back to all the things that you've overcome, just know you can overcome it again. So finding the blessings in the negatives. Anytime something bad is happening, I'm like, well, this really sucks, but I know that in a year or 2 years or however long it might take from now, I'm going to look back at the situation and I'm going to know that there was a purpose for it. So that's how I keep going, man. Wake up every day, eat the same breakfast. Let's go.
This kind of goes along with that, but yeah, you are so motivational to other people, but what is it that motivates you internally? Is that just something you've always had, this like get up and go?
I do think it is a lot. I do think in part it is my personality. I am a very motivated human. I have always been in leadership roles. Like I enjoy that. But I really enjoy motivating other people. Like it makes me feel good. Like it's one of those things that fuels my soul. And so I feel like it was interesting because the other day on my Instagram, I was like, why do you follow me? Like, I'm curious, like, what is it? And a lot of it was motivation and they are inspired or they love my energy, the positivity. And again, I just know that you can kind of be in control of how you want to be and how you want your life. And when I leave a legacy on this earth, like, I don't want to die with a legacy that I didn't create. So to me, I want people to know me as a positive human being that sees every moment out of life, that is motivated and excited and driven. And I mean, that's a legacy I want to leave. So
I love that. How do you boost productivity without causing burnout? I think, we get into this where it's just like next step, or, how do you keep people going without it being like, okay, we're totally fried?
Sometimes it's taking a step back.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I have to take a step back when I'm in like the hamster wheel mode and I need to be like, let me take a step back here and remap it out, list it in the area of importance, in the area of priority, and just be like, okay, what project needs to be attacked first? Because if I can think of things in like project base or like clusters instead of the whole entire when it's got like the like the symbols that pop up above your head, it's like that's how a lot of people feel. And so if I can take it back and like put it into little clusters of projects, that really helps me. And also too, if you don't have a why behind why you're doing something, like people think that with social media a lot. It's kind of like, what's your why? That'll make you a lot more motivated behind the scenes to want to achieve it. And if there really is no good why, then maybe you shouldn't do it. Maybe you should just be like, okay, because sometimes you're just doing something because it makes you look cool or it feeds your ego, and and then it's like, but why?
Yeah.
For what?
What purpose? Yeah. Okay, this is kind of like a quick fire game, okay?
Bam, bam, bam. Let's Do it.
Spice it up now.
I'm waiting for that moment.
Kind of like then versus now. So maybe you could just give like a brief few words or a very
Okay.
brief summary of what it was like then and what it is like now, or how you would describe it.
Oh, okay. I didn't read
Let's
this.
start with physical space. What did the salon look like then, and what does it look like now?
Before I even built it out, it was dirty, stinky. Like, I swear there was like pee on the floor. There had to have been. It was like disgusting, and like office lighting. And it was just like, I mean, I walked in and I definitely didn't want to pay money for this space. Like, I was like, ew, what is this? But I had to see the vision. So then it was real ugly. It was stale. It was in the strip mall where it was like boring. And now it is vibrant and alive and exciting and kind of this weird little oasis in this small town that makes you feel like you're not in a small town.
Let's describe how did you define success now then, and how do you define it now?
Success. Ooh, this is deep. Okay, I would say.
Past your wildest dreams. That's why it's like a good question.
Yeah. I would say success then was, I would say, more of a how many people you had, and success now is not about how many people, but it's about quality, and it's about your happiness.
I love that. Kind of along the same lines, what was your leadership style then versus now?
Leadership style then was very mama bear. It was like, you do this and this is how you do it. And my leadership style now is teaching them how to do it for themselves.
Love it. And then last one, if you could describe yourself in 3 words back then and 3 words now, what would they be?
Okay, 3 words back then, I would say scared. I would say hopeful, and I would say boho. Britt likes boho. Oh, my vibe. Yes, yeah. I was like soft. I would say soft and baby-like. And now I would say I'm bold. I would say I'm confident. And I would say I am edgy. Yeah, I would say I've got. I'm still hopeful too, though. I think oh man, it's wild to think about how you would ask that question to yourself. Think about who you were then and who you were now. That one was good.
Good. Okay, that was really fun. I really love that. But now, just to wrap it up, let's go for the future. What goals do you have for the next 4 years?
Oh man, for the next 4 years in my life, in the salon, which avenue are we going down?
Well, I don't know. I guess this is a good question, is how do you stay on top of trends? Like, how do you look for trends? And then maybe, what do you think? Let's do salon and personal.
Okay.
Like, what are your hopes for that?
Yeah, so my hopes in the next 4 years for the salon are for it to continue to evolve. So whenever there's a shift or a change in the industry, I want to be on top of it. So that's really important. I want my team to feel like they are thriving and they are successful. I want to be known even more than we are now. So I want people to be beating down the doors, to be getting their hair done there and or working there. I want to continue to be an inspired leader, but I want to be even more of an inspired leader going into the next 4 years. I think that I've had a lot of experience now leading up to here. And so, I mean, next year will be my 5th year. And so I'm really excited to take the lessons that I've learned and just continue to push forward and just really make this salon even better going into the next years. So from a salon perspective, we're coming for you. Let's do it. And then a personal perspective. So my life could change a lot in the next 4 years, which is really kind of crazy to think. I have been business for the last 4 years, if not longer, probably my whole life. So I'm engaged. So that's exciting. So this year I'll be getting married, which is wild. So I'll be becoming a wifey. Okay. So yeah, I became a homeowner this year for the 2nd time. I'm going to become a wife, which is a really amazing gift and such a important role that I think I need to pour as much into my business as I do into that role in my life. So I'm really excited to continue to do that. But also too, I mean, hopefully there's some kids in our future. So that's kind of crazy. Never thought I'd say. I knew I would say that. It just takes the right person for you to be like, okay, You be a good dad. So yeah, I mean, there could be kids. I know there's going to be other, business adventures kind of throughout that, which will tie into my personal life. And I'm really excited. This is every year I want it to be the year that God leads me, but I really want this to be the year that God leads me, because I know that He will bless whatever area in my life He needs to, and it will go in the direction that it needs to. So whatever falls, whatever comes, I'm just going to take it, and I'm just going to allow it to happen. And so I'm really excited to kind of put the trust, and it feels good. I put a lot of pressure on myself, and I think a lot of people probably watching this do that as well. You put so much pressure on yourself, and so it kind of feels good to be like, I'm just going to let you take over. Let's just see what happens. But we'll see. Check me in like 5 months and then make sure I'm actually committed to this and that I get back to that. But yeah, I'm really excited to see what happens personally. I mean, I never really focused on that part of my life, and so I think it's important to do that. I mean, I'm 31, baby. 30s. Let's do it.
Well, this has just been so fun reflecting, and I'm really glad that you're taking time to celebrate this anniversary and all these milestones. And we love you, and we're grateful for the last 4 years. So I hope you feel really proud of everything you've put together.
Thank you. I think this was so important for me to do, because I am one of those people who does not stop and smell the roses enough. And so I would encourage anybody that is coming up on an anniversary of any sort, whether it feels big or whether it feels small to you, because I've surpassed a lot of anniversaries the last 2 years and just been like, wait, it was my anniversary. I kind of forgot. So I would encourage you to sit down and maybe answer these questions for yourself, or just kind of journal in your notebook, because you don't want to forget. There's so much that happens in a year. I'm doing this exercise right now where I'm going back in my camera roll and kind of checking off what happened in the previous year. And there's so many things that I forgot. Shout out to Mel Robbins for this suggestion, but there's so many things that I forgot that I even did or that happened this year that were so special and so great. So don't let a moment pass by. Just enjoy every moment. And thank you guys for listening. If you guys have questions, you need anything, I'm always your girl. Send me a DM. I'm happy to help. So peace out.